Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. East Coast Time. That's right, coming to you live from YouTube and Instagram. We got the trades. Tell a friend, give it a share on Instagram, give it a share on YouTube. We're just going to be warming it up. We have a really good show. Hope everyone's having a great day. Great subject. Going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be somewhat controversial. It's not too controversial to me, but it's definitely something to look out for. Yeah. Let people know what's up. It's the trades. If you have any questions for the guest, if you want to join the convo, unlike DJ Academics, you have to subscribe if you want to comment and join the chat. Let people know what's up. Before we even start, how does everyone feel about the topic? If you are watching live on Instagram, if you want to put your 2 cents in, come to the YouTube channel, click the link in the bio, and come to the Profowon channel where your voice will be heard. We're going to start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let me know where everyone's from. What city you're from. What crew you're from. Your opinions on hip hop. We're here to talk about it. Two minutes. We're going to start. You know if you're live. All right. About to start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let me adjust a few more things. All right, let's start the countdown now. This video has been brought to you by Breakin. Go to the website and register. Check out what they have to offer at Yo, what's up? This is Shadow Rock and Pro for one of the Floor Gangs and Knuckleneck Tribe, and you're watching The Trade, the show about hip hop, breaking, and the business of. What's up, y'all? How's everyone doing? It's been a fine week. Uh, just to catch everyone up, I'm still getting used to the navigation on Restream. Again, I think we're streaming. I think we're streaming live on Instagram and on YouTube as well. But the whole thing was on Instagram, you can't comment. You just basically can watch it. I think we're on. I'm not sure if we're on. I was playing with that. That's why I started a little bit late, trying to fix all that type of stuff. But still, great feature. Shout out to Friction from West Coast Rockers, Break Street Media. He's the one that turned me on from StreamYard to Restream. I'm having fun with Restream. I think it's really cool. There's a little bit more options to play with stuff. So last week, if you want to check that out, I had a broadcast with AER B-Boy B-Girl podcast. My man Rick the Ruler out there in Trenton, New Jersey. We had a really good discussion. He has a lot of interesting topics on breaking, because it's not just the traditional like, oh, like, oh, well, how many 90s can you do and how many battles? Nah, he's asked some real stuff. Like the latest thing that's getting everyone their panties in a bunch is basically people over what's age appropriate to break in competition. See, he leaves that out. He just wants to be a little salacious and be like, what's age appropriate for breaking? So everyone's like, nah, up in arms. I could break at any age. You can't tell me what to do. But he was more like, should you still be battling? And that's the whole thing. Is like, oh, or competing. Let's scratch battling. Battling is different. Competing. And he had some good points. Now, mind you, I am a person that likes to compete still, but I don't compete for the same reasons as everyone else would compete. It's not to like, I want my respect. I have that already. I'm more like, I compete to see if I can still do it because I'm 49. All right. And that's the part of that's the segue into, before we start the show and the topic and the guest, gotta clean some house. So me being 49, I'm about to be 50 next year, July 4th next year. And to still be active and compete, and I don't compete to win. I compete to show all you guys that, hey, no matter what age no matter how old you get, you can still be pretty active and still, grow. And I'll put this out. This is my kind of like, not humble brag, but really brag. The difference between me and a lot of the up at 40 and up B boys and B girls is that I'm still learning stuff. A lot of the b-boys and b-girls that are over 40, they've been doing those moves for 30 years to 25 years. They've been having their moves since 16. I was a footwork guy. I had a few power move tricks, but now I'm trying to learn full-on power. So you know what, I'm gonna brag about it. And that's why I compete. You know what I'm saying? That's why I compete. So okay, so check this out. That being said, that I'm getting older, I do have one of the sponsors help make this possible is Zinworld, zinworld.com. It's a company that basically distributes CBD. Now, if you don't know what CBD is what helps with, it's from the cannabis plant, but instead of getting you that psychotropic head high, it basically gives, you get the CBD part that there's no non-psychoactive ingredient basically, but CBD does heal. It heals inflammation. Inflammation is the biggest thing that causes, like, injury. So what helps with that inflammation is CBD, and they have products like Zen World Nano Drops. You put this in your water, you put this in your coffee, you put this in your sports drink, and basically it'll help heal internally all the inflammation that you have. Now, if you don't want to ingest it, you could always use the CBD freeze. This is a topical, so basically works like icy hot. So, you put it on, it massages now with icy hot, and it's great because it does massage you, but Icy hot doesn't heal you. CBD does. So you put this on, and not doesn't just help massage your muscles when they're sore, it helps heal it. And you can get all these fine products at zenworld.com. Use the promo code Gearheads, and you can get 10% off. So why not save money while you regenerate, recuperate, and relax? The three R's. That's why I always remember the pitch. Okay. Now, at the same time, I'm at 1,950 subscribers. Thank you so much. Especially this latest boom. I think the thing that got a lot of views so far was how do I maintain my mobility at 49 as a 49-year-old b-boy. That's great. Thank you so much for those supporting. We're at 1950, but let's get to 2000. The thing is, 89% of you are watching the content, but you're not subscribing. Now all I need is 50 all to subscribe, and I get to 2K. Maybe I'll do a 2K party. I don't know. 2K announcement. That'd be so great because once you, and I'm already monetized, but you all know how it goes. I only made $2 last month. Shout out to AER Bar, B-Boy Bar, Bigo podcast. They donated to the super chat. You know what I mean? They donated to the super chat. And then give it up to my man Indo G. He gave me a super thanks. So that's how you can help the channel. You don't have to actually, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to like send a super chat. You don't have to send a super thanks, but you can subscribe. It just helps me out. It helps make the show better. Maybe I get a mic, instead of using my headphones. Maybe I could get better camera because I'm using my phone as this camera. So please click the bell for notifications. Subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and like this video. Let's get those likes up. All right, now I'm gonna the last plug. This is my brand called Supreme Geometry right here. Finally got it. It is on Printify. So if you don't do, and I have the link pinned to the top of the chat. So if you want to like go cop some, we got beanies, we got hoodies, we got crew necks. And let me put that together. Plug right here. Boom, right there. Got the Supreme Geometry on the Printify shop. So you don't have to give us super thanks. You don't have to give a super chat, but it's welcome. Notice that I don't put my Venmo on here. I don't put my Cash App on here, but I'm more like, yo, if you could support the channel by getting some merch, you don't just help the channel out, you actually get something back, which is uh, a basically a hoodie or a shirt. My beanie's coming in today. I was gonna rock it, but I was too late. Maybe it's in upstairs right now. I don't know, but I'm doing the show. I can't just grab the beanie. But yeah, again, go to it's pinned to the top. Supreme Geometry, Profowon shop on Printify. Support the channel. Thank you very much for bearing with me with all the plugs and the capitalist stuff. Right? I need to do the capitalist stuff. I gotta grow the channel. But yo, like shout out to Kiki Breaks too. I was like, I need a hat to match the logo. And if you don't know, like there's a whole history of the Supreme Geometry brand. It's pretty cool too. Like my whole thing, the theme of the brand was the counterculture of breaking competitions. Breaking is already a counterculture of a culture, and this is the counterculture of breaking competitions. And I made a bunch of memes, and my boy D Pugs, he basically made the design. Started out as a mixtape with my man Just Jones. So, and I still have it's still around digitally. That's still around, and maybe I'll give some out. Maybe for the 2,000K subscriber, I'll start giving out the mixtape. You know what I mean? It's still dope. Came out like 12 years ago. Still fire in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So again, help me out. Again, check out the merch right here. All right. That being said, okay. So I wanted this next guest on because like we've done a few shows, we've done a few lives on Instagram, but it was kind of like, what's the excuse? How can we make this happen? You know what I'm saying? What's the topic? What's the topic? And there's been a lot going on. Like there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of stuff being said. about breaking. Since the Olympics has happened, it's happening in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. A lot's been happening. The press run has been great. The press run has been great. But there's a lot of rappers and MCs. I don't know if I want to call them MCs, rappers, whatever you want to call it. They're trying to make a lot of calls in what should and shouldn't be in who should be judging and how. Why isn't it pop locking in the Olympics? There's a lot of things being said, and the other thing is kind of like the things that we were afraid of in the '80s. Like we were afraid of a lot of things. We basically like you know we were very scared of like the rehashing of the '80s, the break exploitation era, as we call it. Oh, we don't want to be mixed up with Turbo and Ozone, and they just think of the '80s. And well, let me tell you, we're back. There's a new break exploitation era, and I don't know if there's anything we could do about to bring hip hop back into breaking because at this point, I believe, and maybe people in the chat can comment on this, that as Nas said, back in '97, hip hop is dead. Oh, I said it. Oh, I said it. But breaking isn't dead. It's getting a new life. It's never died. It's getting a new life in the mainstream. So, without further ado, representing TBB, one of the best researchers, not just in breaking, but hip hop, period. We got my man hailing from New Jersey. We got Pluto 7. What up, Pluto?
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, man. So, like I was saying, I had that long intro about like, breaking in hip hop. So let's start with there's so much to say. I mean, so much to say. So many lives we've been on for the past month. You got this whole media
Yeah,
rollout that's happening. NBC is tripling down. All affiliates in NBC is really like pushing breaking right now because now
yeah.
for you people out there for education, Universal's in charge of distributing media to of the Olympics and they own NBC. So that's why if you're wondering why NBC is going hard on it, it's because the Olympics, Universal,
They
NBC.
got
You know
they
what I
got the
mean?
call from the top.
Yeah, there you
The
go.
top
You know what I'm
trickles it
saying?
down.
There you go. There you go. So now we're having, because of it, and we kind of called it last year, didn't think this was going to happen so fast, but, there's names out there. I'll even say it, Professor Griff, Lord Jamar, they're commenting on it. You know what I mean? Even to like, even the closest MC to really experience it was Common at Lords of the Floor. Like he actually experienced and got involved. Everyone else he doesn't really
Yeah.
say much. He was like, it was fun. He was like, this is the most hip hop thing I've been to in a long time. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
what he said. But everyone else is commenting on it. You know what I mean? Like who should be judging, who should be thrown out, all this and that. So let's start with okay. We know that breaking is from hip hop, but at this point, my complaint is a lot of people say it, but they don't understand what they're saying. And this started the kind of this whole thing that live we did with Nemesis, right? It started the whole thing. It's like, yeah, breaking is the first hip hop dance, but it's like almost like a regurgitation, and they don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
How do you feel about like kind of like? Well, let's start with that. How do you feel about that? Like this whole like there is such thing as a breaking culture, like straight up, like that's totally separate from like I mean every element in hip hop is separated as is, right? But well, how do you feel about that? That the fact right now it's pretty separated. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. It's always been separate since 1979. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was separated. Talking to the OGs and having a conversation of how they interacted and how like a lot members from TBB who was like, yeah, would talk with Kaz or we would talk with Mel or this person and all this stuff or whatever whatnot. Like it was something that was cohesive. It wasn't a big deal. It's like a lot of these guys went to school together. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
these guys went to jams. and everything. So the cohesiveness within the culture from 79 and back, that was something that is just what it was. From 74, 79 forward, yeah, you had it, but it was, like things, the beginning stages of separation started to happen. But no one's really talking about it from a media perspective. The only thing that was
Hmm.
really be talked about were the B-boys. The B-boys
Right.
is what set the precedence for what goes on in
Right.
hip hop from any
Yeah.
perspective that you look at.
Yeah.
So if you take the b-boys out of the equation, this stuff looks totally different because the record companies weren't messing with with the rappers. There was more independence. It was more tapes were being circulated. So all the information
Yeah.
or what the word of mouth that got on as far as what we see was through the narrative of the promotion of b-boys all the way up into the early mid 80s. And then
Right.
towards the mid 80s is when rappers started to get contracts or labels were being made or whatever. You had like Rappers Delight and all of that stuff, that label out in Jersey. They
Yeah.
started
Yep.
out,
Yep. Yep.
but labels really started to flourish around 85, 86.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as like rap, like
So
yeah, like early times. Yeah. That's when you had the whole. That's when you had. Yeah, you had like these labels starting to come out and actually push these records, right? Like even the independent labels. Like when was Tommy Boy? Like when was Tommy Boy established?
um move. Ah, I think between like I think like around 84ish,
Okay. So
like
that's what you were
84,
that's what we're talking that's what we're talking about, right? Like
right around
it
84.
wasn't like 79
Yeah.
and even 84. Do you and then at the same
Nah,
time the
Tommy Boy was
local
in
pop
79.
yeah. Oops, sorry. Oop. This is just a this is 1981, my bad. Here you go. 1981, like, they had, floor master. They were still the floor masters at this point, not even the New York City Breakers.
Mhm.
And like, like what you're saying, like what the press was this, right? It was like, it wasn't Sugar Hill Gang, right? They didn't put, you know,
Yeah,
Grandmaster
yeah.
Flash and the Furious Five. It was like Floor Masters, Dynamic Rockers, and Rocksteady.
And,
These were the names that were
and
in
and to
mainstream
add
culture.
and to add on and then to add on the narrative of like the elements and all that stuff, even in early as 81, um, it was Phase Two who was running with New York City Breakers, and he
Right.
was running with what's the punk rock group from England? Joe Strummer
Uh,
and them. I'm running the
you're talking about like Johnny Rotten and them, like, or the Clash. Are you talking about the Clash, or are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah,
about?
yes, the Clash. The Clash.
Uh,
Well, no, 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 my bad. The Clash was running with Futura, but the
right,
reason why I'm saying this is Phase Two gave New York City Breakers their name
right,
from
yeah,
Floor
yeah, yeah,
Masters to New York City Breakers. So there was, that thing where elements, there were other elements supporting breaking
right,
outside of what breaking was already what it already was. And so since you had that narrative or whatever, whatnot, there was always still this connection, even though they were on, doing TV shows and doing news reports and all that stuff. You still had a narrative of other elements being involved or being around. I mean, even like what 2 years later or something like that. You look at Wild Style and
right,
Style Wars.
right,
Most people don't even
right,
know Style Wars wasn't even supposed to be about writing. It was supposed to be about
right.
breaking.
Yeah, breaking, yeah, yeah, and that's the
But
thing. Yeah, a lot of people.
there
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
enough people.
right, yeah, and that's the crazy thing, right? So okay, obviously, and then after it hit 84, right, it was kind of like, all right, everywhere. You know what I mean? Forget about it. And then you had,
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
had,
By 84,
it
it
was
was
ever
full fledged.
83 was already
It
like,
was
was like critical mass. We could say 83 was critical mass. And then
like
84 was just
for
like,
social media, like for that then, or media,
right,
um for breaking culture. There wasn't a peep of rap
right,
in like
right, right.
there was the ABC thing on 2020,
Yeah,
but there was it was about rap.
About
But
rap,
the
yeah,
ironic
plus
thing,
it was
but b-boying was one of the things they
right.
really showcased.
I
It
was
was like,
trying,
yeah, it's
yeah.
about rap. It's yeah, it's about
I
rap.
was trying to pull that up. I can't find it. I was like, my hands are quick enough out. Instead, I pulled up That's Incredible because it was faster to like type up. But that's what I
Yeah,
was looking for.
there's
You know what I
actually
mean?
yeah,
Otmar says that it was the Sex Pistols. Yes, the Sex Pistols.
yeah, yep,
That was it. It was
yes,
the
it
Sex
was the Sex
Pistols.
Pistols.
Malcolm
Yeah,
McLaren.
Sex
Yeah,
Pistols was running with Futura. He did their logo back then. He was in the Radio Clash video. If you see the Radio Clash video, Futura's all in that. He's doing artwork in the video, whatever, whatnot. And they were inspired by early hip hop culture.
right. So that's what
So
I'm saying.
that's
So
that's what was
so like we could say like the first everyone. So the thing is like like on the chat, put a one if you're born before 1980. That I need you to comment. I don't need anyone else to comment. If you're born after 1980, please don't comment. But the whole thing is, no one realizes that that was the first image of hip hop was breaking. That was the first mainstream thing. Bob Hope did a freaking
yeah.
like even the fact that like why Michael Jackson is linked up with breakdancing is because he did the backslide, aka the moonwalk. That had to do with popping, but it was just like
Mhm.
the street culture, street dance that he did. So we're still like, right now we're still fighting that trope was like we're all street kids that like, do the moonwalk. You know what I'm saying? Like not
and,
realizing
there,
that
and that stereotype still exists because people like, oh yeah, you're those kids from the '80s that spun in their head, spun in
yep,
your ear, spun in your back,
yep,
and all that stuff.
yep,
And it's like,
yep,
you know, it's
yep.
it's advanced. It's advanced a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, oh, yo, give a shout out to one of the original guys in the video for brand Nubians right here. He has a one. You could say something about it. Who's this? This is Evie. You could say something about it. One, the boosted. You could say something about it. Was it not like, look, okay. I did hear Rapper's Delight around 1980, but I would be more likely to hear Planet Rock 82, 83. I would more likely to hear Planet Rock over, I don't know, what was a hip hop song? Like Curtis Blow. I heard Planet Rock more than Curtis Blow on the West Coast. You know what I mean? On the
The
radio.
the the breaks, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Not even
because
any
the electro
any
sound was
Curtis
big.
Blow. Yes. So the electro sound
The
was
electro sound
what
was
people
was the biggest thing at that time. It was
still
bigger
is.
than rap. That was
Still,
considered hip hop
bro.
music before hip
Yeah.
rappers.
So
Before
okay, now
rappers
we
were
talking.
acknowledged as being the music of the culture.
It
There was
was
electro.
electro,
Which
bro.
gave birth to freestyle and all of that stuff.
Dude,
You know,
bro. It
yeah,
gave birth to freestyle. It gave birth to like the Two Live Crew sound, the South sound. And still to this
trap
day,
music.
trap music. This
Trap
is
music.
and see,
They're all like children of electro.
but okay, now we're talking. Now we're having the adult conversation. This is the conversation none of y'all talk about. No one in hip hop talks about. How come to this day electro lasted way longer than boom bap, and its derivatives of electro have lasted. Like trap is a direct lineage from that Rick Rubin Tila Rock record. You know what I'm saying? World is
Yeah.
yours, or and Manny Fresh from.
Here's something interesting about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The influence of electro was so strong that rappers had to rap over it. The early Beastie Boys
Yes,
stuff, the early
yes,
Run DMC stuff was
yeah,
influenced. Rick Rubin's style, the It's
right.
Yours, the Tila Rock,
Yeah,
and a lot of
yeah,
other dudes, and
yeah.
then that usher, and then it translated and spun off into like drum machine stuff, and then later on
Yep.
it's sample stuff. Marley Marl, what people don't even realize, Marley Marl was an electro freestyle producer
See, I
before
didn't
he
know that.
became the
That
boom
dude.
bap.
Yeah, the boom bap, the original boom bap guy. But dude,
Yeah,
yo, even Dr.
yeah.
Dre, Dr.
He
Dre,
started on electro.
electro. You know what I'm saying?
Dr. Dre. Yeah, yeah,
Dr. Dre. Even though he copied the Shockley Brothers sound, like NWA is basically Public Enemy, West Coast Public Enemy, but with gang affiliations, right? Like that's what it basically was. That first
Hmm.
NWA record. So before we move on, because I think when the '90s happened, it was almost like, and Flea Rock would disagree, and you could disagree all you want, but you're younger than me, sir. that that whole resurgence in '91 was to go, we're not from that electro era anymore. This B boy, we're a B boy. We dance to boom bap. You know what I'm saying? They tried to avoid the
Well,
electro thing because
boom back like came in like around like eight. See, it's 86. So 86 is a very
right,
poignant year because 86,
right,
breaking, had died down in a lot of places. It wasn't totally gone, but it was damn near pretty much gone. So the beats got slower. Boom bap was
right,
slower. So
right,
since breaking became out of favor in hip hop culture, and that was the first inklings of negating uh,
right,
breaking's culture relative to hip hop. That's
right.
the Beat Street theory. That's the beginning stages of the Beat Street theory because it really messed with the mind state of the culture as a whole and saying, you know
Right.
what, we no longer accept breaking, but we're still hip
Yeah.
hop. And it's like
Yeah.
you weren't like relative
And,
until breaking ushered you in.
here's the
You know what I'm
argument
saying?
that no one. Yeah. Here's an argument that I brought up with Buddha Stretch. This is very interesting. This is a very interesting thing. And this is up to DJ Phase if you don't understand why there was the translation. Or Charlie Rock. Here's the thing. I asked him because I asked Buddha Stretch, and he's from Brooklyn. When did you start seeing popping? Or when did you start? 79. I go, okay, so what were you dancing to? I was dancing to D Train. You know what I mean? I was dancing to like more funk records. I go, but when electro came
Yeah.
out, did it change the way you dance? He's like, 100% changed everything.
Hmm.
Instead of being more
Changed
funky,
breaking. It changed
okay. And the
breaking.
thing is, there's no footage of breaking prior to electro. That's my point.
Yes, there is.
So
No, there
okay,
is.
what with music though?
Planet Rock.
No, but okay. See, this is what I'm
Planet Rock.
saying. So the whole thing to take out that funk and breaking, when electro happened, of course no one's dancing on beat. The beat's going 10 million miles per hour because the poppers were popping as fast. Quote unquote
But that's why they were
stretch.
called break. That's why it was called breakdancing because you pop people were popping and breaking at the same time, and
Yeah.
like there was no funk, so that
Right.
rhythm, like that aches and
Yes.
that grit, it was a different
Yes.
translation, whatever whatnot. Like
Yes.
if we could go back in time and get like Spy in his prime
Yes. That's
and then get and get like an 80s b-boy in this prime and then have them both dance to the narratives of their era.
yeah.
You know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
You're going to know what
For
it's
those
look
who
like. You're
aren't,
going to emphatically say this is what it's supposed to look like.
yeah. And that's the whole thing. So
and and
breakdancing, even
and
though
that's the
yeah.
variables,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, with the culture. We we've never been properly educated on so many things that have been right in our face that like we could go back and break things down and get something clear,
Right. Yeah.
in a
Yep.
clear perspective of why things happen the way it is. Why are we at currently right now so
Hmm.
ignorant of hip hop
Right.
culture? Because there's always
Right.
been a ideology of ignorance in the culture after 79.
Right.
And a lot of people, like I remember in the 90s, like they were looking at, they thought we were ravers when we were breaking, and I'm like,
All right. See, that's
you guys,
another.
I
Okay.
grew
See
up
what
with
I'm
y'all.
saying? See
I grew
what I'm
I grew up
saying?
with you guys. What you guys are really, you guys really don't see this shit as hip hop. Like what, did we grow up together, man, or whatever, whatnot?
Nah, but see,
Like
that's what I'm saying because like, and
in
that's
the
the thing. And
90s it
there
was
was
labeled old school. And it was labeled like, oh
yes,
we're going back to the old school. And
exactly.
it's like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck is
You're
that
doing that
shit?
old school
Old
shit.
school? What
You're
the
doing that. Yeah. Yeah. And yo,
fuck is
there's
that?
talks about like there's talks about b boys going to the Latin quarters and they're getting their ass kicked out. Don't do that old shit over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
and
And
that's
even
the
like
boom bap era. So all right.
yes,
So check this out. So
it's the
check this
boom
out.
bap era.
So I've got a receipt for that. When
Ooh,
people
okay,
say, okay,
okay,
if you were one of the, this is how you know who has Beat Street syndrome.
all right.
If you refer to 1988 to 1995 as the golden era of hip hop, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
100. That means
You
you're
don't know what you're
50.
talking about
That means you're
because
50 and you don't know what
because
you're
in
talking about.
86 because you know what happened. Breaking died in 80, eighty
Yep,
six. What else
yep.
died in 86? The train stopped being hit.
Oh
Graffiti was
yeah,
like,
yes,
it becomes
yes,
super
yes,
underground. So
yes.
the music slowed down. There was no dance stuff.
Right.
What did KRS-One say? Like
No,
when
there
Precious
was
says,
dance
I
stuff.
remember in '86 they were still out in the parks, Rock City still dancing. So he was saying the Row Rock Steady taking
Uh,
out these points back in '86 to '88. They were
yeah.
still around. New York City Breakers were still doing it. They were the few crews that were still doing
Quick
it.
step. Quick
So
step was the
you're gonna
douche.
say, so if you're gonna say that that was the greatest era in hip hop for what? The trains died. DJing wasn't being really done.
I'm gonna,
With rappers.
I'm gonna refute that. I'm gonna refute that because DMC was on MTV.
Yes, yes, it
DMC
was,
was on MTV.
did you but like I
Cash
said,
Money was on that.
it was super underground. But it wasn't okay. So let's just say you had records. You had records from '86 to about '91 that were DJ based. The hooks were DJs and all that stuff. But after like
Yeah,
92
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff, it
yeah, yeah.
really, really slowed down. By 93, 94, like forget it. But 94ish, it was like something that was like, okay, we're still trying to show that we're hip hop. So we have a DJ.
Right,
We implemented DJ. But
right,
then
right.
when Dats came in, it was a wrap for
Forget
DJs.
about it.
So
Bye
DJs
bye.
had to go
Bye bye.
battle.
Bye bye.
They had to go to
Bye.
the battle area.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Bye
know, they
bye.
had,
After
very few
after that.
DJs, were yeah, very few DJs were DJing for rappers. And remember, it was Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yep.
what I
Yep.
mean? It was Cash
Yeah.
Money and Marvelous.
Yep. Yep.
Cash
Right
Money
here.
and Marvelous. It was the
I'm pulling
DJ,
this up.
Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. You know
And
what I
that's the
mean?
thing.
It
All
wasn't
these hip hop people saying hip hop, they don't even know who Cash Money is. They didn't know that DJ Jazzy Jeff created the Transformer scratch. Bro, we're a dying breed, bro. No b-boy cares about this. No rapper cares about this. They just care about what everyone's arguing about, not realizing these
they
guys are from
just care
Philly.
they just care about no rapper can rap quite like I can.
Right.
That's all they
You know what
that's
I'm
really
saying?
so my whole perspective is when rappers I've always felt this since I was a kid. Rappers don't know shit about hip hop. There are very few.
Right.
There are very few. So why are you
You know what
speaking
I'm saying?
on the culture when you
Yeah.
never acknowledge the culture? All of a sudden, people are interested in breaking. All of a sudden, people are commenting
Bro.
on breaking. All of a sudden, people are
Bro.
interested in breaking
Everyone
because of the
was
bullshit
like,
narrative of the
yeah,
50th.
yeah. Every dude, not
The
the
50th
50th
anniversary. That's a
carrying
rap. That's
on.
a rap. That's a rap. That's a rap shit. That's a rap
Yeah,
narrative. Only
bro,
rappers
the fifth
would be uneducated enough to say that.
the 50th on to the Olympics. Everyone has a fucking opinion now. When we were like, weren't you guys
That
saying that
never
shit's
were in
play?
the
It was
culture
played out. It's
historically.
played out. It's played out anyway. It's
Historically.
played out anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we got an actual hip hop dancer out here. We got Taheem right here. He's a hip hop dancer. What does he say? He's a hip hop dancer who danced for hip hop artists were pretty much done by '93. Damn. No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah,
What he
that's
said is
another
real.
narrative. That's
That's
yep,
what he said
yep,
is real. And guess where
absolutely.
they went to? And this is the timeline that no one understands and why everyone clowns. So if they didn't hire you guys, guess what? Who was hiring them? Mariah Carey was hiring them.
hmm And the 2000s, who was hiring b-boys? In sync.
Yeah, dude.
In sync
Who
was
was
more
hiring
hip hop than your
B-Boys?
favorite rapper.
Bro, who was hiring B-Boys? Limp Bizkit. And featuring them in their
Yeah,
videos. And
tribal,
featuring them.
the tribal tours and all that. Yeah, yep. So
You know what I'm saying?
when you hear these guys talk about, what who was in the culture, what the culture was about, guess what? Y'all motherfuckers weren't supporting, y'all weren't putting dancers, much less b-boys, in your videos. So y'all don't have a place to speak. Y'all don't
You know
have
what
a
I
place to
mean?
speak.
Look, like we got team, right? Look, that Darren's dance groove. Darren was down with the Mop Tops and Elite Force,
Yep,
and
a
then he
Mop Tops
made
Elite Force out in Cali, Scheme Team.
Scheme Team, Razcat,
You know
dude.
what I mean?
But Far Side Dance,
Far Side.
they were two of a kind. They were on the Living Color,
Yeah, they
like
were they were dancers on Living Color. They had a
yeah,
gig
they
as
were
the dancers on a Living Color.
yeah.
Yeah,
Razcast, Far Side, they all come like Wild Child will talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Wild
yo,
Child will talk about this.
bro,
Yo, yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Can
What's
rappers
up?
say all the stuff that we just said?
No. Okay,
Can
Wild
they
Child
say any of
can.
the stuff? Can they
Wild
can they
Child,
see any of the stuff?
Wild Child
Yeah,
could
Wild
talk
Child.
on
Yeah,
it,
yeah. He's different though. He's different.
bro. No, Will I Am could talk about it.
Yeah,
Will I
yeah,
Am could talk about it
yeah, yeah. He can.
because what
He
what
was
people
at
don't
he was
know.
at all those freestyle sessions back
Yeah,
in the
well,
day.
there's a hack that he has, right? Polo, who's part of Grassroots Productions, manages Black Eyed Peas. That's Cross's partner that does freestyle session. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's a hack. He's there,
Yeah.
but this is why he's in the know. Will I Am,
Yeah.
Will I Am, Taboo, all the Black Eyed Peas, even though they make more electro sounding music and more pop stuff, they understand hip hop
Hmm.
more than like rapper do rap. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
this is the thing, the miseducation of the culture, the miseducation of the culture. People are negating things that came before them that made everything that goes on right now. There's so
yeah, I
many
agree.
things that exist right now, like just like street New York street ballers and b-boys. All you sneakerheads, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
If you call yourself a
You're
sneakerhead, you're
welcome.
welcome.
You're welcome from
You're
the b-boy
welcome.
shit. Yep.
Y'all don't even know your fucking history. Y'all don't even know
Yeah.
the history. Bobito made a book about it and had,
Yeah.
like, there are other books, but Bobito's was just like so informative. And he
Yeah.
had rappers, and he
Yep.
had b-boys all in there. And that's one thing that MCs, rappers, and b-boys can generally agree upon. That's the one thing they can agree upon if you were in those circles as far as like kicks and all that stuff. But still, it's a b-boy thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's most paramount a b-boy thing.
All
When
right.
you were a
Yeah.
kid, you saw sneakers at jams or events or TV shows. You wanted the kicks that the dancers or the b-boys had because they were dope.
Mhm. Right.
You weren't, and where did the rappers get it from? They got it from the b-boys.
So yeah, okay, so let's fast forward because let's just like even though electro is hip hop, right? Because of Bambaataa.
Yeah.
And that's what most people relate breakdancing with. I don't say b-boy or breaking, I say breakdance because that's the first thing they're gonna put on for you. They're gonna put on Planet Rock and be like, come on, breakdance, do a head spin. You know what I'm saying? That's just the truth. That's pop culture. There's nothing we could do it till maybe August 10th in the Olympics, and maybe that'll change the narrative, right? For like just the worldwide general narrative of breaking. So let's go to the 90s now. Like we kind of touched upon the 90s when they were like, you're doing that old shit. Like, get out of here. You're doing that old shit.
Mhm.
Kick step is getting quick kicked out. Even Crazy Legs on Drink Champs, since he said it, I'll say it. He threw people under the bus and was like, we got into fights with the freestyle dancers. And this is something that I have heard too. I've heard this separately. You know what I'm saying? Like we got
Mhm.
in fights with the hip hop freestyle dancers. You know what I'm saying? Because they were like, you're doing that old shit. They were more influenced by Scoop and Scrap and like
But
like what
Scoop and Scrap and those dudes were doing like pseudo breaking moves
they
in
were.
between those.
Well, let's be real. Most of them came from that era. Like you know what I mean? Like Loose Joint was in B Street, right? He was in B Street. He was like one of the duos, right? The taller kid and the shorter kid. Loose Joint was a shorter
Mhm.
kid. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone used to break. It's just like what you said when Marley Marl started to do the sampling and kind of revamping these ultimate breaks and beats into Eric B's President, into the boom bap era. They started creating moves from that sound with
Yeah, like
moves like the Cabbage
linear
Patch.
moves, like the what like the
Yeah, the
wop, the
WAP.
Cabbage Patch,
Yes,
the
yeah,
Running
yeah,
Man
yeah,
later on, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
Roger
yeah,
Rabbit,
yeah.
all
And
that.
that's why when I said, because like And this here's the thing: if you're from 94, 95, and you're part of that true school revamp era, you hated freestyle hip hop dancing. You're like, ew, that's not real hip hop. That's not true hip hop. This is true hip hop. I won't. Well, we
Yeah.
won't go there yet. We're still in this space where this was being developed. With this eventually became hip hop choreography. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
This is the thing that became. It wasn't breaking that became hip hop choreography, even though there was breaking moves. Because even these freestyle dancers were doing breaking moves. Like maybe they hit a swipe,
Absolutely.
maybe they hit a 90, but they would do, they did like maybe the dance machine into a 1990 or into a swipe or into a dolphin dive, and
Yeah.
and still go to the after party spot, the fun house, and do it to house music, or the warehouse and do it to house
Hmm.
music.
Because how house, there was kind of like a battle back then between house and hip hop dancing, and some people blurred the lines between all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly,
a lot
exactly.
of those both of those dances were influenced by breakers.
Right.
They were
Yeah,
into, breakers
yeah.
was, something they were influenced in.
Rockers, breakers, lofters, webo dancers. You know what I'm saying? Like they all went to those clubs, right? They all went to those that
Hmm.
after the you go to your Latin quarters or the underground. What's still open? All right, let's go to the warehouse and dance to this music
Yeah.
that's a derivative
Yeah.
of disco.
Because I remember in the '90s, I remember the '90s going to those clubs.
Right.
I remember
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember going to the house clubs, and I remember going to the hip hop spots, and the whole nine,
Right. 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 Right.
so I saw the transition,
Yeah.
when I came back to Jersey from DC, because they were still breaking down there. But when I came back to Jersey, they're like, yo, they're doing this new stuff, like this house stuff and all. This is the new stuff. This is the new thing. Hip hop was
Yeah.
still there, but house had, in our area had became big. So you had these two narratives. There's some people that were strictly house, and there's some people that were strictly hip hop, but a lot of people were both. You know what I
Yes.
mean? A lot of people were
Yeah.
both, so that you had the two separate dance disciplines, and then there's people who mix them. I used to house
Yes.
dance. I used to do,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
hip hop dance. So I
Yes.
mixed all that because I was just a dancer in general. Breaking had stopped, so I
Exactly.
was still, it's like I
Exactly.
still wanted to be active as a dancer. So that's
And
something, that went
and
on.
and that's the thing. Most people, if they see a house dancer, they'd be like, "That's break dancing."
Yeah, there's that too.
Most of these arguments, oh, that's us. That's break dancing. Like, no, it's not. It's house dancing. Yes, there's breaking moves in the house. There's rocking moves in the house. There's foundational hip hop social dance moves in house. But the main thing is they're
Hmm.
dancing to house, which is the 4/4. Even if you do a same hit, if
Hmm.
you break to a 4/4, it's gonna make it break it look different. If you
Hmm.
house dance to breaks, it's gonna make your dancing look
Because there
different.
were, you had guys like Circle of Fire,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know, who
Exactly.
blended a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
You
Yep.
had
Yep.
over here, you had Step Fiends
Step fiends.
who
Step
did
fiends.
that.
Yeah, bro. Even the bag of tricks. Bag of tricks were known to mix
Yeah,
stuff up. In Canada, in
Bag of
Toronto.
Tricks.
Bag of
Yep.
tricks. Ramine was one of the first West Coast guys to make it popular out here. But you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It was a mixture. These were our first all style dancers, really. Kinda.
Hmm. Which
These
what
were
y'all
kind of
call it
our
all
all
style
yeah.
style.
That's what
They were doing that from like, I would say from 88 or 89 to about 97.
yep,
That was the beginning
100.
stage of that era.
100, 100. And see, no one, and this is why we're
That was the
talking, because
beginning,
like we're already talking about different subgenres of music and of like ways of dance that were spanning a 20-year, 20 years. And people were like, break
Hmm.
dance and true school. That's why I don't want anyone
Yeah.
that's under 45 talking, because when the true school era came out in around 91, because again, the links of Rocksteady Park and Legs going, hey, let's link it with the new music seminar because that's hip hop. Let's call, instead of calling break dancers, let's call ourselves b-boys, because that's what the time was, 91.
Hmm.
Because what we
Because
did,
you're trying to shun the stereotypes. This is the
the
thing when people
electro,
say, well,
the
if
electro.
you want to keep it real, you'll call yourself a b boy. But what people don't understand, the message behind calling ourselves b boys, is to shake the stereotype of the 80s, the proper wrong labeling.
Yes,
And we're like,
because we
okay,
didn't
this
want
is
we
what we're
didn't.
going to show. We're going to show you. We're going to show you what it really was and how
Yeah,
it's really supposed to be expressed.
we
That's why
didn't.
people are adamant
Yes,
of calling it b
b
boys
boy.
instead of
Yeah,
breakdancing.
yeah.
Most people
Or
don't even know that. They just
breaker.
say, "Oh, I'm a b boy. I don't. I'm not a break," but you don't even know why you're saying it. So it's
Exactly.
important
That's
to learn
my point.
terminology.
That's my
It's
point.
important to
Right.
learn terminology and express terminology so so it makes sense. So if you're at so historically when people explain why, why they say it's, what they try to explain why they
To
say a b-boy
try
or a breakdancer,
breaker.
they really
Yeah.
don't properly express it,
No,
explain it because they
and they
don't
don't
really know
know
how to. They don't
because
know. And
again,
it's
they're
not their
from.
fault. It's
No, it's
not their
not.
fault.
No,
They
no,
just
no,
weren't
no, no,
properly taught.
no.
They weren't properly taught. And
Just
that's what we're trying to do right now is properly teach all of the
yes,
variables.
yes, yes, yes. And now this is what I'm saying. Like when we say b boy, B-Boy in 88, 87, you were known because of Run DMC in my B-Boy stance. It was more you're a hip hop head. You liked hip hop. Like it wasn't like even though the original term of cool Coke Rock and Cool Herc calling Sasa a B-Boy, it still wasn't used in
Mhm.
that sense, even though it was like, I mean, it's true. It was revamped. I'm trying to find the video where Crazy Legs is yelling at Frosty Freeze because it was 1991, and it's like we're b boys now. We don't break dance. And Frosty Freeze keeps saying, when we used to break
Okay.
dance, and they
No,
all got mad at him.
that's the footage of the Rocksteady at Rocksteady Park.
Yes, yeah,
That
yeah.
was the second Rocksteady anniversary in the second or first. Yeah, I know
So that
what
had
you're
to be
talking about.
'92 then.
I actually watched it like last week. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing.
but
That's when
yeah,
and they were mad at
'92
yeah.
because
So they were getting
ninety
mad.
one was
Yeah,
the new music seminar.
right. Yeah, yeah. And they were getting mad at Frosty too. They kept
Rappers,
b-boy.
please show you can articulate this.
Yeah, they're just like, oh
Rappers,
yeah, but
please
you guys
show
were
us you can articulate all this. Since
we
you guys can
got
tell us
OG.
what our culture is, our element is, show us you
Right,
can articulate this.
right,
Please
right,
show us
right.
you can articulate this. And when you
Because
do
even
it,
Rob,
speak on
yeah,
everything but what we spoke on because we're just brushing through. We're brushing through. We've
yes,
been doing this all our lives.
yes,
We're brushing through
yes,
this. We can do this in our
yeah,
sleep.
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we like no everyone like that was when it was kind of a proud moment to reclaim it as b-boy because now we're connected to hip hop
Yeah.
again. Now we're connected to boom bap. Now we're connected to like you're not doing that old shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, well, okay, let's get OG here. Says, oh, Akeem messing with who hip hop dancers doing ciphers too, whatever. No, he's younger for sure. If he's talking about Sour Patch, he's younger. We're talking 88. We're not even we're barely touching 91. For those who are watching, we're barely touching 91. We're going almost pre-rave. Like the existence of that word rave didn't exist till mid 90s for us. We're still talking clubs, like straight up clubs. We're not talking about warehouses with different rooms and different types of electro. We're not talking about trip hop. We're not talking about, you know, uh uh Detroit freaking trip hop. We're not talking about Chicago house where you could all, and we're not talking about like garage. No, 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 no. We're still talking about it's still soulful house, and we're still about 88 to 91. We're still there. We're still talking the tunnel, Latin
There's so much
quarters,
that went on. There's a lot that went on.
which
There's a
was
ton of
separate
shit that
from
went on,
the
which is
warehouse.
ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? And we're talking New York, which is like there's 10 million types of parties that you might have never heard of in each borough. And each borough is as big as San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is why it's like,
Yeah.
how come I never heard of you? Well, if you have a borough that's as big as San Francisco, I've lived here all my life for 49 years, and guess what? I haven't been down every block in San Francisco. Do you know what I'm saying?
There was
Like
so much
San
going on.
Francisco is
It's you know what the best way to describe it? It's like how breaking is now. There's so many events you can't be at all of it.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So back then there was a lot of
This
events.
is what I'm talking about right here.
Breaking, housing, and all that stuff, and
This is
any of that stuff that was going on at that time. Um, there was just so many events that were going, so many clubs. So there's
Yeah.
always, like so many things
Yo,
that,
yo,
like it's just
yeah,
it's
yo, I'm
impossible to
Mars. I'm
keep
not
up.
trying to diss, but I'm just saying it's because like that era is when we were all kind of more joined together. Like, we're talking about that 93 to 95, 96, 97.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Sour Patch, they're
But we're
dope.
talking what
They're
we're
dope.
talking about is like when
They're dope.
again, why under 45? Because they weren't there in the dead years in America when breaking did not exist in America. It just didn't exist. Maybe a very few. You can count like America is a whole nation with 50 states, and probably around 88 to 91, you can literally count. Little Caesar quit. He started back in 90. All of them quit. Legs quit. Kenny quit at this point. New York City Breakers quit. That's why there's that argument of Quickstep being the last of the Mohican because he's the only one that showed up to parties and clubs to still literally break with top rock footwork and power moves, while everyone else came from B breaking in the 80s and morphed into the freestyle hip hop freestyle dance. That's what happened.
I remember, I remember, I remember in like late '92, early '93. There's a club in New York
Mm-hmm.
City called the Muse, and they would play they would play everything. But I know there was just this one. I just remember this one time they played James Brown, "Give It Up, Turn It Loose." Everybody lost their mind. All the house dancers and all the hip hop dancers were all breaking a cipher.
Wow.
Breaking it wasn't really like that big
Wow.
around there or whatever at that time. But when they heard that, everybody, like just went into breaking
Right.
mode.
Yeah.
For that moment,
See,
everybody went
now
to,
this is the
to breaking
difference
mode,
of
and it was
West
just like,
Coast. See,
yo, this
this
is
is the
love.
difference of the West Coast. Because you said 91, 92. If you did that in the West Coast in 91, 92, we would do this. Honestly, we would do this. We weren't connected to the Ultimate Breaks and Beats till B-Boy Summit. That's when we started hearing breaks
Yeah,
because when they started doing B-Boy Summit, and shout out to Asia One too for the last B-Boy Summit that just happened this past weekend. That because
absolutely. Respect.
Radiotron
30
was not
years.
playing any James Brown. They're playing electro. It was
It's
watch
electro.
the
Electro.
tapes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was electro.
It's, yep. It's
Me
all
growing up,
electro.
if we heard James Brown, and I'm 49, so I was 16 at the time with these jams. If he played James Brown,
But at that time that was a
we
West
didn't
Coast
know.
tradition.
We
That's just what it
didn't
was.
know.
That was just a West Coast tradition.
We didn't know. You know what I'm
You know.
saying? We didn't know. We just knew as again, we were part of that whole breakdances with electro. You know what I mean? We didn't know any better. And even
Yeah.
with Rocksteady
I was
performing in the
talking to my
80s,
boy.
yeah, go for it.
I was I was talking to my boy from South Carolina. He said the same thing. He was like, "Yo, we didn't know anything about funk and breaks. We didn't find out until later. It's like the only thing we had that we got a hold of was electro. Electro was
Right,
everything. So we were breaking into electro. And then, as we started to find out breaks and all that, we started to learn how to properly put the dance in the context. I'm not
right.
saying you have to dance this way and
No,
all that. And,
no,
like you're not,
no.
my thing is, but if you're educated on it and it shows up, the more vocabulary you have, the more it's going to open you up to different perspectives of doing the same move or even the same set. So when you have that perspective, you're not limited because there's some people like they say, well, I can't break to this, I can't do this, or people say, well, I can't break in these sneakers and shoes. I'm like, yo, if I have sneakers on, that's what I was breaking in.
Right,
I people ask, well, what was your favorite thing to break in? Yeah, there's some I prefer, but if I had a pair of sneakers not necessarily would break in, I would still break in them because they're sneakers. I always said, sneakers are not to play sports in. They're meant to break in. That's my philosophy.
right. See, right
Sneakers are made
here,
to break in.
this is what
Fuck
people think
sports.
of why isn't this in the Olympics? This is what people think. Why isn't this in the Olympics?
Yeah,
This is not breaking.
yeah.
This is not even pop locking.
That's
For those,
breakdancing. That's
this is break
breakdancing.
that, but this is popping. This segment of his dance right now is popping. This is not breaking. This is popping.
Specifically, yes. But what the
Specifically
whole
popping.
thing of the '80s
Now he's locking.
is considered breakdancing.
Not pop locking for those in the
Yeah,
chat that are just here to freaking argue. This is popping with remnants of locking. If you want to talk about the history, 1969, Don Campbell, LA, Boogaloo Slam, Oakland, Black Resurgence. If you really want to get really, but do you guys know about that? No, you guys don't. You guys don't even know about that argument. You didn't know that the Oakland is fighting Stockton and who created what first. You guys don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is what like you guys are like, oh, breaking it. Like, yo, Stockton don't like Oakland dudes, and we're talking guys in their 60s. Guys in their 60s are arguing who did Boogaloo first. Was it Oakland? And then they're strutting in Frisco. We're talking 1969. While the breaking was going on or not even going on yet, supposedly, but they're all watching the same show. They're all watching Soul Train and flipping it in different ways. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't. But they'll be the first. They're not hitting the floor. You know what I mean? They're dancing. They're all dancing to funk, not electro yet. Even shout out to my man Pop Tart, Demons of the Mind. You know what he used to say? There was this whole thing. He used to say, "Oh man, we used to strut on Fillmore. Man, we were dancing to Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was great. I had these bell bottoms with the top hat and sequins. Then all of a
Mm.
sudden, hip hop came. Now I had to change everything I had to do.
Yeah.
I had to dress different. Fuck it." And he said, "Fuck hip hop." He's like, "Fuck hip hop," even though he loves electro.
Um.
But it was like, but he
What do you
was like,
call
I
it?
had to change from funk to hip hop. That's great. But see, no, everyone's
Yeah.
arguing.
Yeah.
Everyone's arguing. But he's talking about his culture in the Fillmore. You know what I mean? The Harlem of the West Coast saying that I hate hip hop because I stopped dancing to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and now I'm dancing to Clear. Like,
There was this album with Dell and Tame from Artifacts, and they had this song called Flashback, and there was this line that I was like, oh, that's an ill line. He said, you know, when punks are weird, and when Breakers was taking money out of Papa's checks,
mm,
so you know what I
mm,
mean. So like
mm,
breaking hit hard, man. You
mm.
know, and it wasn't that it just hit hard over here on the east. It hit hard over on the west. So you have that new
Yeah.
narrative. It's no different than what happened with b-boys with the hip hop dances or the house
Mm-hmm.
dances. There's
Mm-hmm.
always something in order for something to usher in. You have to destroy what's before that.
Right. Right.
You had Cinderella and you had
Mm-hmm.
Metallica and then you had Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, yeah,
Guns
yeah.
N' Roses
No,
killed all
straight
of them.
up. Straight up.
And then
Straight up.
and what killed Guns N' Roses? Nirvana.
Nirvana killed everyone. Let's just say Nirvana just like flattened everything,
Yeah,
right?
so build and
Nir-
destroy,
yeah,
and that's just what happens with us as humans
yeah,
in culture and art.
yeah,
In order to bring in the new thing, the old thing has to be destroyed.
yeah. I
But
mean,
what
yeah,
shows the power shows the power of all that? Something that comes back and refuses to die.
right. And Breaking did that, and but people don't even realize that.
Yeah,
People, well, those who aren't breaking that never went to a jam or never went to a I won't say jams because the jam is kind of dead, but went to a breaking event, went to a separate breaking event. You know what I mean? It's like it is what it is.
yeah,
Okay, so we went from 88 to 90, 91. 91 was the redefinitive thing because, like in Germany, honestly, let's be real, they were still dancing to electro, and not just electro. They were dancing to some European techno that they created
Yeah,
themselves.
European electro. Yeah,
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 like there's a reason why people like to go to Ibiza, right? Like Ibiza is like a party place because Germans, Germans took techno and rolled with it from the 80s. Like they didn't even change the sound of it. Like there's that joke. You ever watch that Saturday Night Live with Mike
they're
Myers?
kind of
And then
responsible as they were kind of responsible for the beginning of it.
you know what I mean? Like they continued the electro shit. That's why it's electro Euro trash, right? Like it's electro.
I
Like
mean, Kraftwerk, man,
yeah, I know, but it's
Kraftwerk.
just you know what I mean? Like they, and even from like for those who want to be educated on the evolution, like it went from the warehouse from New York, then these kids in Chicago taking the disco, the disco that they played at the warehouse club, making their
Mm.
own warehouse beats that became house music, and
Mhm.
then Detroit coming in creating trip hop and all these other derivatives of
And then
house and
those
electro
DJs from Detroit went
to
to England
England.
and all that, and then they were
That's my
like, "Yo,
point.
what is that? What
That's
is
my
that?"
point.
And then
That's my
that
point.
regurgitated again.
That's my point. And that's what created the two step and garage music. And then went deeper on that as far as like, and they started doing raves, right? They were
Yeah,
doing parties in barnyard houses, right?
warehouses that started in Chicago, then they start doing warehouses over in England. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's still like, look, it's still like it's all from these different genres, different cultures, and yeah, breaking right now is a mixture of all of it. It takes from capoeira now it takes from capoeira, it takes from house dancing, takes from hip hop dancing, it takes from all these other things to this day, right? It's still like, you know, if it wasn't these other genres of music, there wouldn't be the modern day
Mhm.
b boy or b girl now. That's just the truth.
Yeah,
Because if it was that's the case, if we never took it, we all look like Beat Street still, right?
yeah.
We're talking to
So
Beat
they,
Street.
but that's the irony of it. They all
Yeah,
those things that but breaking takes from now influenced it to be taken from.
yeah. And this is what I'm saying now.
So
Now let's go. Okay, so now we're like, for those who are uneducated, we went from 91 to we went to 88 to 91. Now let's talk about 94, 95 to about 2000. This is what we could say the start of the competition era, right? We're slowly inching away from jams
and we're actually
and
moving out of
clubs.
the resurgence era also because
Yeah,
ninety
yeah.
93 to 95 is the resurgence era and
Yes,
on
yeah,
both
yeah.
coasts in the
Nationwide,
United States.
nationwide, nationwide. Yeah, nationwide,
Yeah,
nationwide. We're talking Chicago, we're talking Texas, we're talking Florida. You know what I'm saying? Um, we'll put Canada in there just because it's North America, but whatever. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But it
But the
becomes
seeds
this
were being
VHS
planted at
movement.
those times.
Yes, but
Yep,
this is like the VHS era, right? Because the only ones that
yep,
distributing and the thing is, guess who was pushing the VHSs of breaking? Skate shops were pushing. It was
yep.
skate shops
Yeah, I
that were
worked at skate shop.
distributing.
I worked at a skate shop.
You
We
know what I'm
would get them the
saying?
videos and then we would tell them, I would tell my bosses, you want to get this video, you get this video. And then I was surprised like kids were coming in and buying them. I'm like, really? Skater dudes. And there's some kids who wanted to learn
Yeah,
breaking, they were buying them at
yeah.
the mall that we worked at, in the whole nine. So it was like, oh, okay, it's like, all right, and they were like, any more suggestions? All right, you get this one. You get this. Later on, the boy video was the big thing. The reveal thing, the bendable banana slugs.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
little down the road or whatever,
So
whatnot.
for
But
those
all of that
for,
stuff.
for those who don't understand what happened between 91 to 95, the skater culture embraced breaking. Skaters embraced breaking. That's why even with the fashion, we're so similar to skating today. Like the fashion of a b-boy
Hmm.
today is not
Break
Adidas tracksuits.
skaters were rocking Puma suedes more than b boys were at that time.
Yep. And
If
that's
you
what I'm
wanted
saying.
back
This
then,
is
if
what
you
people
wanted to
don't
buy
get.
Puma suedes, you had to go to the skate shop. You had to go to the skate shop, and then all the gear from there. What did you have? You had all the gear from their con art and all that stuff, which was graffiti, skate, hip hop inspired gear and the whole nine. Like out in the
Yeah.
West, there was mad like clothing companies and all that stuff. It was big.
Yes.
Writing was
Yes.
big. Writing was big in the '90s.
Yes.
In the early '90s out in the
Yes.
West too. It was real
Yeah.
big,
Because we didn't have subway
and it was a
trains. We
reflection
had
of the
freights.
clothing.
We had freights too. We had freights.
Yeah,
We didn't have subways. We had freights.
yeah,
Thus
yeah,
started
yep.
the freight culture in graffiti. You know what I'm saying? Versus like just subway, right? So this is what I'm
Hmm.
saying. What most of the old now I'm gonna go on my like if you're over 50 rant. If you're over 50 and you're like, how come you're not wearing suede, Adidas, and Pumas and Superstars? Because we relate to skaters more. Because even the skaters, if you play Tony Hawk,
Yeah.
what's on there? Boom back. It ain't gangster. You know what I mean? The first Tony Hawk, they don't really play Dr. Dre. They
Even the
play Del
games,
the Foot.
even the games now, even the games now, it's like yeah, it's like the dope shit from the 2000s.
Right,
But there's they leak a few of like 94 and up.
right. Yeah. See, that's what I'm
Like
saying. That's
I'm
why, like,
seeing now Souls of Mischief are on
bro,
commercials. Souls of
second
Mischief
run.
is in
Talk about
TV
second
shows.
run,
It's
bro.
in
Second
movies.
run. Talk about second run, right? Like,
You know
talk
what I
about like
mean?
reliving. Yeah,
Yo,
talk
like I'm
about
like, yo,
reliving.
like yo, what do they know about souls?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that's what was going on at that time.
but see, this is what I'm saying. Like,
All
and
of
that,
these
and that's
movies, all of these movies.
yeah, yeah. Bro, see, this is what I'm saying. Like the skate, like that's the disconnection which most of the old school guys don't understand about the breaking culture now. That skaters and us are like this. As far as fashion, look at this. Ain't no. This is from skating. Why? Because there's rips from fucking falling, and these rips are purposeful. You know what I mean? Huh? I can't hear you. I think your mic's off. I think your mic's off. Your mic might be off. But yeah, just to say, like this is I mean, this is shout out to Kiki Breaks. I can't hear you still. You might have to redo your. Yeah, I can't hear you. Let's see. Let me. Your mic's. Yeah, your mic's not moving. I'm looking at the thing. Mic's not moving. Try to call back in, and maybe your mic will turn on. And I'll just keep talking. Just call back in. Yeah. So check this out. So basically, the skater culture is a part of the missing part of a lot of the old guys. I'm an old guy, but the guys that that aren't connected, because even today's fashion that b boys and b girls like is more skate influenced, right? It's not the Adidas, it's not the suede Pumas and Beach Street look. No, 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 no. So it's still high in fashion, but the fashion influences skating. Let me get to the chat real quick and see what they say. Let me get Pluto back on. Yo, is your mic working? Is your mic working? Okay. Yo, you're delayed. You're delayed and your mic's not working. Try to take off the headphones and let's just try to do it like that. Try to take off your headphones and do it like that. Maybe put this mic down. But yeah, so as I was saying, um, and these are for the newer kids. These are okay. So now everyone that's born after 85 could talk now because this is their old school. Their old school. Oh, there you go. I think I could hear you now. Um, their old
Yeah,
school.
my
There you go. There you
icon
go.
was saying showing that I was on. It
Right.
didn't show that I was muted, so I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you're on now. So I was saying like for those who are uninitiated, that's what we're talking about. For everyone that's 45 and under, you guys grew up in this because this is at the time the freestyles, VHS, the style elements. It becomes this more national. There's more West Coast b-boy crews winning shit than East Coast b-boy crews at this moment, and that even Rhythm Bugs being from San Diego, and they've seen like Rodney and them go skate, and even Billy Bell working with Cross One, who worked in
Yeah.
skate videos.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Even Easy Rock being a professional BMX biker at one point, you know what I mean? And then switched to breaking. Like there's this that's like why fashion is the way it is. Like like most of these guys like, how come they're not wearing this? I don't like the breaking of today. Well, you weren't there when it developed into where it is now. So you don't know about the styles that came
And
from
that's the
Germany.
thing. And
Yeah.
that's the thing about this culture. There are people who interlope,
Hmm.
who never really were in this for a long
Right.
period of time.
Right.
So it's like when you're commenting on things and you weren't here for a long period of time, you don't understand the variables of why it looks the way it does look currently from
Right.
all of the back influence of just the past 30 years. 30,
Hmm.
30, let
30.
alone 20 years, but the past
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Put a one in the chat if you feel like Style Elements is your old school. I want to see how old everyone is. We're not saying Rocksteady. No, we're not gonna keep using Rocksteady. That's another thing of the rappers. They always use Rocksteady.
All they know is rock steady. It's like,
That's
yo,
all they know. It's a
like, yo,
little
that's Beat Street
frustrating.
syndrome. That's Beat
Yep.
Street syndrome.
Here's the thing. I won't even the Rocksteady that won competitions in the last 15 years were not from New York and they're not from originally from Rocksteady and they claim a different crew. If you're over 50, can you name the crew that some members of Rocksteady this crew, I'll give another hint, from Florida became
They got a
Rocksteady.
lot of skills.
Yeah. You have to be over 50 to name this. They helped put Rocksteady back on the map, but as far as competition, no one wants to hear that shit. No one wants to hear Rocksteady. You know what I mean? They're the greatest. They're the greatest. In
You know
1984.
what? I was watching them at freestyle sessions last night, late last night. Like somebody posted it up on Instagram. I was like, yeah, I remember because I was at that. I remember, it almost broke out into a fight.
Mm,
Like,
oh yeah, yeah,
yo,
yeah.
and we
Chunk.
and we had to split them off. We had to split,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
two crews together. And then funny, the next day we were at some park. And both crews were there, and everybody was just like, "Yo, I'm sorry, my bad, yo." And they pieced it up. I'm like, "Damn, yo, you guys were going in so hard." And the next day, everybody was cool.
So everyone over 50, if you think you know this shit, because I'm mad. This is where I'm mad at the old guys. We should be no. We are not flying you out to judge. I refuse. I refuse. I've been in this too long.
And
You know
and
what I
and
mean?
now I've been seeing for the past 2 months of people saying, well, are any of the first or second generation b boys gonna judge the Olympics? And it's like, it doesn't
No,
work that way.
no.
It
There's
doesn't
30
work that
years.
way.
We just within an hour and 17 minutes, we talked about different genres of dance and types of hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. Here I'll give you an example. So my boy Julio, he's from the West. So he grew up with Cross and hung out with them, Nam and all them, old school rock force. And I remember him telling, he was in Venice Beach and he was explaining this one situation where, they were hitting with animation. And
Right.
animation, was explaining the moves. So he's like, windmill, 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 and he never knew the name of
Yeah.
a halo. He's like high ass windmill, high ass windmill, high ass
Yeah.
windmill.
Yeah.
So
Rest in
that's the
peace,
thing.
animation, man.
Yeah,
Rest in peace,
absolutely,
animation. Rest in
absolutely.
peace, animation.
But he's like high ass windmill, high ass windmill. So it's like, it's like when it's like even if you took a break, when you come back in, just fall back and learn.
Yes.
Just learn.
Yes.
See what's going on. See
Yes.
the variables and all that stuff. Whatever.
Yes.
That's what I like what Doug did. Doug didn't say, I'm fucking I dance for Cool Herc and the whole nine. I'm first
Yeah, yeah.
generation and all. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he understood that you're not gonna get Dancing Doug to say I want to judge.
Good. Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. He
And yeah,
appreciates the culture. He knows how he sent it off. He saw what where it is, whole nine or whatever. And that's why I can respect a guy like that. There's a few
yeah,
guys like that.
yeah, yeah,
Whatever. The people who say, oh, the old school guys should do. It's always the dudes with the Beat Street mentality who just didn't know what was
no,
going on in the
no,
didn't know what was
no,
going on in the past 15, much less
yeah.
20, 25 years ago.
This is what I'm saying. Like it's cool. Like it's cool. Like I said. So shout out to Cross One because he did fly out. Trixie, Sasa, Dancing Doug, the twins, Coco Rock.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it was
absolutely,
dope. And he gave them awards. Good.
absolutely,
Now,
absolutely.
if the Olympics does that, dope. But I don't want them to judge. I don't
I don't
want
think
anyone from.
what I don't think they
I
would
don't.
judge. I
I
don't think they would
barely.
judge.
Yeah, I know, but still, I barely want anyone from Beach Street to judge. You know what I'm saying? I barely want anyone from Battle of the Year '91 to judge. Barely. I gotta see. Like, have you been around? This is someone who doesn't want to judge, but will understand the last 40 years of dance is K1. Shout out to K1, bro. He'll
Yo,
know what's up. He's
K1,
an OG that's never left.
K1.
Shout out to
I
K1.
speak to K1 almost every other day.
Word.
And at one point in time, he was with, like judging, but now at this point in time, like, good luck trying to get him, to judge.
Yeah. But
He's like, he says I would rather do a workshop, but this dude, he still has receipts, he still dances, he's still nasty, he still got this ill perspective. He shows me like the workout shit that he does, like, yo,
yeah,
this dude is like Goku's like master.
you know what I'm saying?
Like the
You
shit
know
he
what I'm
showed me, and
saying?
I'm like, yo, it's ridiculous the stuff he
You
does.
know what I'm saying? Like right here. This is the like no disrespect to anyone else from the 80s, but this guy, he beats you all. This guy
Yeah,
beats you all.
yeah, yeah,
K1 beats you all. Like
yeah,
I don't care. Like except for Skillroy, that's another guy.
Yeah.
Skillroy is another dude.
He's beastly too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Skillroy is
Yo,
another dude.
he's been holding down Hawaii his
Bro,
whole fucking career.
bro, he said, "Oh, I remember Michael Jackson locking on TV." I was like, "Damn, you're old."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? This
yeah.
guy right here,
And that's
give
the
this.
conversations I had with Kay, because Kay is like, yeah, I remember it was a big deal to see the Jacksons dance and all this stuff, and the whole nine, and this is the whole thing of so much influence and how it was
Mhm.
added to the dance and the whole nine and whatever, whatnot. It's just ridiculous. Yo, you gotta get Kay. You gotta
Yeah,
get
man.
Kay on
I
here.
mean, I got to get him back. Yeah, I got to get him back. I
Yeah,
had him like
yeah, yeah,
almost 10 years ago, but
yeah.
you know what I mean.
But
But this is what I'm saying. Like this is look at that. Like this is to me. Th- this is what I'm talking about. This
and if
guy
you
has
see this
his yeah
video,
yeah.
if anybody else sees this video, whatever, whatnot, look at the faces on all the dudes he's teaching. They're all like in disbelief, like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
Excuse my language. Excuse my
Yeah. Yeah.
language.
Nah, cuss, bro. It's all good. There ain't no. If your kids excuse the language, but this is what I'm saying. Like this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows the history. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the young ones. I mean, I have smoke for everyone, right? I smoke for the guys that are from the 70s. I have smoke for the guys from the 80s. I got smoke for the guys from the 90s. I got smoke for the guys from the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Should Sasa and them get flown out to the Olympics? That would be great. To me, that would be great. Should Trixie, Doug, Clark Kent, El Dorado Mike, Wallace D?
I think
Yeah.
Chino and
They
what do you call it?
Gino,
Because they're the ones that really,
yeah.
like
They were
spoke on this
pushing
in '83.
yeah, they're pushing the Olympics thing. So all those guys, yes, should they be flown out, get a hotel, get per diem, maybe say hi, do some interviews? Yeah, I'm for it. The twins,
It
all
would.
of
I
them.
mean, it would be a fucking write off for them.
Yeah, but do I want them to judge? No, I don't
No,
want them to judge. No, they need to know. They have to explain. A judge should explain everything that we're talking about right now. Everything we're talking about, from the music to the DJ influence to the graffiti influence of the past 40 years in intricacy and in and most b-boys can't do that and they still judge.
because you know what? Any of the narratives that we spoke on, you could be at a jam or a competition, and those things could show up.
Right. Yes.
And what are you gonna do? How are you gonna be like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
and as we progress in this culture, judging becomes tougher and tougher.
100.
It never goes. It never. You're not
100.
gonna get anybody to say, "Ah, I got this judging thing down packed."
No, you
Okay,
don't. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
okay. Nobody
Okay.
does. There's a
You
lot
know what
of
I'm
work
saying?
involved in that.
And for the people in the chat that aren't regular, and I know you're gonna hear just to talk your shit. Tell me the difference between crumping and clowning if you want to get technical, and light feet and Chicago footwork. These are all dance styles that happened in the last 20 years, not even
Mhm.
30.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can you tell me about turfing in Oakland? Can you tell me the Baltimore style of their dance versus the New Jersey style of their dance?
Yeah.
And these are just street
There's always new
dances.
stuff popping up though.
And these are just street dances. And you want
Yeah.
to fucking complain about who did it first and shit? Go ahead, complain. But don't talk about me who should be judging. I'll take anyone that I trust to judge, who could talk about everything we talked about the last 40 years in detail. Okay, I trust you. You know what I mean? K1, you know why? Because he works a regular
I was about to
job.
say K1 is
You
one
know
of those
why?
dudes.
He works a regular job. He doesn't always ask to be flown out, if he ever does. And then he'll like go and pay to get in and just watch and see which kids are who
And
and what's
support.
they're doing. It's
And
a
you don't hear him
bro.
saying, "Oh, I don't like how they're doing this." Or he don't say
Yep.
none of that. He don't say
Yep.
none of that.
Yep.
That's the ill thing about K1
Yep.
because I talk to this dude a
100.
lot, and he doesn't like he. That's something he never like. Oh, they were whack. He appreciates it.
Yeah.
He's been appreciating, since Breaking came back. Because I remember him talking about, when it died down in the whole nine, and his
Hmm.
brother got into the other forms of dance that we spoke
Hmm.
about. Kay
Yep.
was like, "Nah, I'm sticking to Breaking." So then he told me, when Breaking came back, he's like, "Yo, they're breaking again." And then Kay was like, "Word." And then all of a sudden, as soon as it came back, Kay
Yep.
was on the front lines,
Yep.
still doing that stuff.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys don't know the difference between popping, which is from LA, and then the original derivative, which was Boogaloo, which was from Oakland, Fresno, and then which was, then you got locking. And that's what I'm saying. We could talk hip hop all day, but if you watch that Watts documentary with Rufus Thomas
That shit's
and
so dope. So
Isaac
dope.
Hayes,
It's so dope. Yeah, that shit's so
why
dope.
aren't they breaking? They're locking. They're locking for sure.
What
They
is that?
they are
73?
locking.
That's
Yeah,
73, right?
they're
Or
locking for sure.
yeah, yeah. Before
But they're
all of this
not
shit.
breaking.
It's before all of this.
But they're not breaking. And they're like, nah, see, look, that's breakdancing. Get the fuck out of my face. So Michael Jackson's okay. So is Michael Jackson hip hop? Here we go. Is Michael Jackson hip hop?
You,
Yeah,
you,
he
you,
is because he's a pop star and he did the moonwalk and he locked and he could sing. Like, okay, hip hop,
I mean, if we're being honest,
hip
my
hop.
my, if we're being honest, according to a lot of people,
I know.
Michael
This is what I'm
Michael
talking
Jackson
about.
stole moves.
Okay,
Michael
let's not talk about that part. I don't care. Whatever.
like
It's
Michael
probably
Jackson
true.
stole moves.
It's probably
The whole
true.
thing where he does that with the finger whip. Electric Boogaloo said, that was Spidey or
Spider
whatever his name.
Man.
Yeah,
Spider. Yeah.
he got that from him. And then
Spider Man.
everybody equates that to Michael's, you know, it's his dance move. I remember in like 2001 or 2002, I used to work at the hospital, and I worked in the OR. And there was something with Michael Jackson on TV, and I was like, yeah, he's a good dancer. And this lady was like, my God, what you were talking about, boy? He's the best dancer in the world. And I'm like, no, he's really not. And it's like, no, no, like his teachers are. But
Mmm.
once again,
Mmm.
it's like what's going on currently now. You're arguing with people who just don't know the history. You're
Mmm.
saying a lot, but you're caught up in the sensationalism of what media
Mmm.
like wired your brain to acknowledge. You
Mmm.
don't speak to people who do the research. You don't speak to people who do who know this, who can break it down, can tell you who did it, their names, where they did it, where they're from, what year they did it. If you can't do that, I cannot have a conversation with you
Like
about
that.
any of the variables of hip hop culture.
Like that.
And I'm not talking just breaking. I'm talking about
Yeah.
core elements.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
four elements.
Yep. Yo. Okay. So, all right. So I had smoke for the old people. Now smoke for the young people. All right. So now we're back. Okay. This is how I feel, right? This is just me being ranty, right? My feeling. We're back to the 80s. Like, we're back to electro. Like, the new DJ flag is electro. These kids are wearing crop tops again. You know what I mean? Like, electro is back.
Yeah.
And most of these kids don't care. Like, hip hop to them is Lil Uzi Vert. Hip hop to them is like, why? Like, hip hop for us is like, don't trust Hammer. Don't do anything he does. If we had to pick and choose the new James Brown, it's Big Daddy Kane. That's how we were, right? If we had to, and we didn't even want to do
Yeah.
that. And then, but these kids are MC Hammer was like, why not? Pepsi? Why is everyone making fun of Hammer? He's dope. He's an entertainer. He's like, the lyrics is gone. It's gone. MC Hammer never had lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So we're back because these kids, they'd rather be a Michael Jackson than a Wu Tang. That's what they want. Drake wants to be Michael Jackson. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
he wants to be pop stars, and this is hip hop artists, right? These are rappers that want to be pop stars. Which back in the '90s, if you grew up in the '90s, you didn't want any part. You want to get good money on your own merit versus like how many people are
And
gonna buy my albums.
you wanted to make a dope album.
Yeah,
You wanted to make like a
yeah,
classic.
yeah.
It's like I used to tell dudes like in the late '90s, because I had bought like an MPC and I was making beats and all this stuff, and I would say to people and it would perplex them. And I said, "Do you want to make? Do you want to make? Do you want to make a hit or do you want to make a piece of art?"
And they were like, I want to make a hit.
And I'm like, if you want to make a hit, I'm the wrong person for that.
Right, right. You know
Like
what I'm saying?
I don't do this for money, or whatever, whatnot. I know what it's like to have $10,000 in my pocket in high school
Right. There you
and
go.
just blow it. So like money is not something that's impressive to me or whatever. We're not, as dancers, you've done
Mhm.
shows with popular pop artists and all that stuff. That's not impressive to
I've
me.
danced.
Impressive
Yeah, yeah.
is to implement the illest style or or convey the passion that you had for the culture.
Right.
That's the biggest payoff for me. Not like okay, you made $1 million and all that stuff. Because if you really want to make money, like hip hop's really not the place to do that
Yo. Okay. Real quick.
for
Er,
now.
let me give a little history. See, this is how much I'm fucking in the fucking trenches. Lil Uzi Vert can flare. He's from Philly. There was a movement in Philly that happened, and Box One is part of that movement. It was the early 2000s. They used to have people that watch You Got Served and create crews from that movie. Boxes from that movie, that era in Philly.
Mhm.
Box thought that he made up Flair swipe Flair because he wasn't connected to any breaking. He just could flare and he could swipe, but he thought he made it up.
Mm,
And this is like 2010. He thought he made up flare
wow.
swipe in 2010 because they were so disconnected to the breaking scene
Yeah.
and they were just dancing. They just watched
Yeah,
You
yeah,
Got
yeah.
Served.
There were those dudes that would, just do moves,
Yeah.
do two or three moves and whatever, whatnot. And they're like, yo, like, I'm not with that breaking stuff.
So with Lil Uzi Vert, he used to watch these crews from Philly that Box was from. That's why
Mm,
Lil Uzi Vert can flare. He has a
interesting.
Lil Uzi Vert has a clean flare too. Like what is like this guy dresses up like an anime character. Yet this guy can have a good time flare. This is why. This is how connected I am, people. How I live all the way in San Francisco. How do I know this Philly history?
Your influence and your creativity does not come solely from you.
Yes. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know,
Yeah. So again, we named a bunch of dances in the span of 40 years. Dance movements that you guys freaking skipped. Just break dance. Get the fuck out of here. Buck dancing, I saw someone. Buck dancing has influenced house dancing for sure. Did you know that? Do you know the difference between house dancing and breaking? Do you know the difference between house dancing and turfing? And even in Montreal, they have their own, what do they call it? Electro. They have some dance out there in Montreal. They call it some crazy shit. I don't know.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's just like, let's not talk about stuff like this if you don't know what we're talking about. That's why we can't, to have judges, you have to have this information to help you because it shaped you. There's trends in breaking. There's trends in breaking that people don't know. And if you
yeah,
don't know the trends in breaking, they're like popular moves, there's such thing as popular moves. But if you're not in the scene, you won't know it. If I say those in the chat that really break, you know, if I say tap mills are overused, people are gonna be like, "Yep." Now, see, see, see. Look at those reaction. Tap mills are. Everyone's like break dance. Okay, tell me what a tap mill is. I can
yeah.
tell you who made it popular in the '90s.
You
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 know what I'm
you you
saying?
you know the one trend that I hated that everybody was doing was
What's that?
um air chairs.
Yeah, that was dude. Hollowbacks.
Air
Hol-
chairs. Oh, they were so annoying.
Bro, same here. That's why I don't do it. Now I'm like, damn, I should
Yeah,
have. Let
that's
me
why I never
change
did it.
it.
Like, man, nah. Air
Breaking
chairs were
culture started in the 70s. You go backwards. Okay, sir, give me the timeline. Breaking culture started in the 70s. Okay, sir, give me the timeline. This is what we're talking about. We just talked 40 minutes about from 88 to 91. Go ahead, sir. We're here to listen. You tell us.
you know,
What songs are being played at Hevlo, sir?
here's the thing. You know, to talk about the '70s, I think we've already done it. So, like, see, the
We
thing about us
barely
is
did it.
see about us is, we're progressive. So you have to follow pro. You have to follow what I do. A lot of
Oh,
people
okay.
will
That's a
see
different story. That's a
we'll
different
see
story. That's a
what
different
goes on
story.
in the instance. But you have to understand, we're pushing progression or whatever. Yes, we do go back and we acknowledge all that stuff. But then, there's sometimes you have to, talk about variables and progressiveness or things that, that are currently being seen. But what we're doing is we're proving a point that, like, we not only we don't we're not like one dimensional in our history and our knowledge, but also we're showing narratives that aren't really talked about. What we're talking about now, no one else is talking about. I guarantee you, no one else on the planet Earth is talking about this because they can't articulate it, because they
Yep.
don't have the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're
100.
hitting on a bunch of, and that's the whole thing of our perspective. Like, my thing is like, if I were to do a documentary, I would be like, you see all that stuff that all these documentaries did? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do
Yeah.
everything that all these documentaries didn't do. If not, there's no point in me doing them. I just sound like everybody else, like all these other most documentaries.
There we go. Oh, where are you at, Pluto? I just want to show this real quick. I just want to pull this receipt real
They all
quick.
sound the same. So it's like, I'm not here to do what everybody does. I'm not here for you to say, well, you guys should do this and all this or whatever, whatnot, because we've already done it. I did it 12 years ago. I did it 13 years ago.
Yeah, I just want to pull this receipt. Look
Like,
who that is. Who's that?
like, it's about introducing more than one narrative and leveling up.
I love
And a
how,
lot of people, like, may not see that, and I can understand that. That's cool,
yep,
because this might be the first time you might have seen me.
yep,
So you may not know the background or whatever, whatnot. But we try. We're pushing to really break down everything in the nooks and
yep,
crannies and be informed. We're trying to
yep,
educate the culture or have it for your access, um, pleasure or enjoyment, something that was never historically taught, that we had a
yep.
problem that we did not see. So we're speaking on it. And that's the thing in this culture,
Hmm.
which is most important, to share and to bring stuff that was never talked about. Because, we could sit here and say, okay, we do the history, Zulu Kings, Rocksteady Crew, New York City Breakers, and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And,
Hmm.
there you go. There's the history of hip hop and breaking, Grandmaster Flash, and there's history of breaking in hip hop. Nah, nah.
Yep,
We get meticulous with this shit. And then we also do stuff that's not normally heard. So that's
yep,
the whole point of
exactly.
this.
And this is where it's like
Because
when I'm
hip hop ain't
talking.
gonna
Look,
teach you shit. Rappers ain't gonna
no,
teach you shit.
nope.
No rapper is going to teach you what
Yep,
you're gonna learn from what the
yep.
perspective that we do. And we don't have to just do like dance. We could do graph. We
There
could
you go.
do DJ. We do
There
MC.
you go.
I can do the history. I can do the history on DJ needles. I can
Yep,
do the history on
yep.
the cartridges. I can do a history on the faders. I
Right,
can do a history on the tone arms.
right. There you go.
Where are
That's
you
what I'm
going to
talking
get
about.
that?
Yeah,
Where are you
yeah.
going to get that?
That's yo. So yeah, I just wanted to real quick. Well,
No
Pluto was
disrespect to
talking.
anybody
Yeah,
out there, but
yeah.
where are
But
you
that's
going to
true.
get that? All the historians, no disrespect to them, but where are you going to get that? I don't call myself a historian. I don't call myself a hip hop historian, but yet I could stand in a room with some of the most historical historians, and we would look different.
There you go. Just to pull a receipt real quick. This is me.
That's what we're about.
This is me,
There's more
Trixie,
stuff to talk about than this
Dancing
same old,
Doug,
same old.
the
Sorry for
twins.
the rant, but
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. No, that's what
yeah,
I brought you here for. Sasa Kokorok, don't tell me nothing. Because if you haven't even broken bread with these guys, you guys should shut the fuck up.
yeah, man.
You guys don't even know what the moves they did. This is what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, if you're gonna defend these guys, at least know what they did. Oh yeah, that was on the floor. Nah, tell me what they did. If you can't tell me what they did and how they contributed, then you should shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? You should shut the fuck up. All right. Anyway, now I have smoke for the young guys, and then we'll wrap it up. So okay, wait. So what do you think about that? There is this connection now. It's almost like the b boy's the new rapper. It might happen. The b boy might become the new rapper. The new like they're not gonna know any of this stuff, right? Oh, okay. Or he went off. Well, anyway, yeah. So well, the main thing that we're talking about here is we're even just talking about dance history. We're even talking about how some of these dances got formed and how some of these dancers got evolved. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah. So what do you think about the like? Let's just say like best case scenario, right? It becomes breaking because it goes to the Olympics. It has the 900 moment. Jeffro, freaking Victor, superstars, right? And then
Yeah.
right after that is gonna be like all of a sudden people coming into it, and they're not gonna have any connection to hip hop. Nothing.
You
They're just
mean like
gonna
what's
know.
going on now?
I mean, but to the umpteenth power, though. I'm talking to the umpteenth power.
I think it's
I'm
already there.
talking like six figure contracts attached
Yeah,
to it.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, it's happening, but not with six figure
yeah,
contracts.
yeah. I see where you're going with
Do you know
that.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like, you think LeBron James gives a fuck about the history of basketball, or he just wants to win? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
culture is like out the fucking forget about community. Community out the where's my check?
But here's the thing. There's always a place for everything. That's the beauty of breaking. There's
Okay,
always a place for everything. You
I
know,
agree.
and
I
a
agree.
lot of people
I
don't see
agree.
that. A lot of people
I
are like, "Oh
agree.
my God, the Olympics is going to destroy breaking," but like you see it in one dimension. That's why a
Yeah.
year from now, watch where all of this.
All
Watch where
right.
pro is going to be. Watch where I'm going to
Well,
be,
let's not.
and then a year from now,
That's all I'm thinking. But I'm just saying. Let's say best case scenario financially, worst case scenario culturally, and let's say like we still do what do we do, but pretend you're in like I don't know bumfuck Idaho, and all you know is the Olympics and whoever wins gold, right? Hopefully it's Victor or Jeffro, our logistics and Sunny. But anyway,
yeah.
um, do you think all of this will matter anymore? What we're talking about?
You know
Because
what?
all they're going to care about is
You know
winning.
what? A lot of people might think it won't, but I think it will
Okay.
with some of the future narratives that are going to be made.
Okay. Okay.
That's one thing.
Okay.
Not everybody is going to see that, but there's this thing in breaking. All right, you know what? We'll use in a historical narrative,
Okay.
that
Sure.
goes on in breaking that
Sure. Sure.
these dudes can't articulate.
Yeah.
Um, there are people that came into breaking, Flare 90,
Yeah.
windmill.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden they get smoked with a
Mhm.
dude with just footwork. Then they have this overt enlightenment. Then they go on a spiritual path. And then, all of a sudden you're like, I started out this way, but now I realize what breaking really is.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? There are
Okay.
people that go
Okay.
back and say, you know what? I've
Okay.
seen it 1,000 times. A
Okay.
lot of people, prime example, born.
Right. True. All right. Yeah. You have a point. You have a point. You have
you
a point.
know
You
so
have a point. You have a point.
people at the highest level, whatever, whatnot, there's gonna come a time where they're gonna be like, you know what, I'm tired of just flare 90 air flare, and I want something more. I
Mm.
want my
Okay.
dance to speak more, like I want it to have more meaning. So
Right.
I'm going to learn what it is. And
Right.
there will be information. There will be a paper trail for that. There will be information on all that stuff in the
Okay.
not too distant future where people will
Okay.
say, you know what, I'm going to go back
Okay.
and come back
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
So yeah,
And that's the thing, there's still such thing, and I've made this comparison a lot too. Is like the vert and street skating. Like there's still a difference, right? Some people,
hmm
power moves and guys with big power moves,
yeah,
like the vert. That's the vert, right?
yep,
And then there's the guys that like don't want to join a competition, and they out there just grinding on the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
that's it. That's what they're happy with, and they'll still meet up. So that's cool. Um, okay, and this is going to I forgot to this is where I tagged you. Some guy from Hong Kong tagged me in this on Instagram saying what breaking podcast no breaking podcast has talked about it, but we're gonna talk about it today. Betting, sports betting in breaking. What do y'all think of that? First of all, you gotta really understand how judging works and the stats to make a bet. And I think this one, breaking, could
That's
be the most
interesting, man.
breaking
Wow.
is the most corruptible, in my opinion. It's you could corrupt those judges way easy.
Yeah, I
Because not
mean,
everyone's gonna see the detail. Like maybe in 10 years, people will be hip to like all the lingo we're talking about. Or what do you think? Do you think it's gonna be a
you know what?
possibility?
Here's the thing.
Sports betting and breaking.
Here's the thing. I
Fantasy
remember.
football leagues, fantasy breaking team leagues, bro.
Here's the thing. I remember. Like in the early 2000s. Talking about breaking. Like once or twice, and that was it. But
Mhm.
here's the thing. Right now, like you got guys, remember in Casino, Robert De Niro's character, he was just so astute in the
Yeah,
variables.
yeah,
He knew the
yeah,
wind. He
yeah,
knew if your shoe was tied a certain way or
yeah,
whatever, whatnot.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah,
gonna have that unless you find like a betting ecosystem that caters to something that's predictable or kind
right,
of predictable. That's the only way you're going to have an accuracy. That's going to be a big gamble, man.
yeah,
To really like gamble on that and like get it right or whatever, whatnot. But
yeah,
you could also go with who's the judges and what is the event. So
right.
you really would have to, if you're going to gamble on breaking, that's a big gamble. And but who, you got to see the variables. Who's the judges? Where's the event? Who's dancing? All of that stuff. That's going to be crazy, bro.
I mean, the
That's
only
a
thing
tough
is,
call. That's a tough
again,
call.
we have to have people in the know. You know what I'm saying? You have to have
Yeah.
people the people have to be in the know. It can't be just,
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
yeah.
Exactly.
People gotta know the stats. They gotta know what they look for to be like, oh, it's rigged. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
That's
it's
that's
something.
that's Victor. That's Jeffro.
Yeah, yeah,
That's Rock's right. You
yeah,
know what I mean? You have to know these people. You can't say, "Oh, you know what? I like his windmills. He's gonna
yeah,
win." Oh, I don't
yeah,
like his footwork, so
yeah.
he's gonna lose.
Right.
And that's what people say because you can go with the mentality historically. When you get someone who is an outsider or a civilian looks at breaking. Oh, I like the way he breaks. He's cool. He does all that tricky stuff, and you know what I mean. That's
I
their
like his
mentality.
shoes.
Exactly, exactly. I remember one time I was out PAing in a battle, and they were like, literally, and I wish I had the video. Literally, they're like, you know what? We're gonna count a point against you because you have glasses on.
Holy crap!
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all rough out
We
there.
we we've been. This isn't new, people. We've been in this space of super ignorance.
That's
You know,
rough.
when people really don't know this whole breaking thing historically, most people can articulate their error and they're done. And
Right,
then there's some people who can like we done. We can go from right now all the way back to the 70s in
right,
detail in our sleep.
right.
You know what I mean? And that's something, me personally, I would love for people to level up and know all those variables. I would love that
Yes,
because it
yes,
adds value to the culture. And then
yes,
when people see
yes,
that, When we start to
Yes.
translate into an ecosystem, people were like, you know what? I see what it is. I see the potential. I see what we had. We need to work with each other, and like not worry about Nike, not worry about these stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to have all of that stuff, but if we don't like, if something is pulled under the rug under us, but we are self sufficient, we don't have to worry about all of a sudden, like Nike's pulling out of breaking. This is pulling out of breaking. The Olympics is pulling out of breaking, and all this stuff. We have our own ecosystem that we created. So we make the rules. They have to come to us. And when
Yep.
they want to work with us, it's a mutual thing. It's not like you above us or we're below you. We're side by side. And if it doesn't work out, we appreciate it. Maybe somewhere in the future we can work together. But we need to start thinking in big terms of creating things for us
Yep.
and stop looking at them to say, let's go to them. Because if we create it and we get it down packed, they're gonna come to us. And then after that, we can charge them whatever we want.
There you go. All right, we're gonna react to something that I talked about earlier. I had a bunch of videos to react to, but I was like, no, we're already almost 2 hours in. But it's been a
We'll
good
probably have to do
conversation.
a we'll have to do a part two.
All right,
We'll have
here
to
we
do a
go.
part two.
Let's watch this one now. Boom.
Oh yeah, this
2024. People watching the Olympics and watching breaking would not possibly have no exposure to it. Maybe have seen it briefly on TV or something. So what the whole thing? What can we expect? What will happen, etc.
Neil
Well, you're
deGrasse
gonna
Tyson.
see
Shout out to
basically
Rock's
a
right.
completely
Rock's
different
right.
outcome than anybody has seen compared to what we saw in the 80s. I mean, we've been competing steadily since like early 90s when competitions really started to emerge on a yearly basis. The dance has evolved so much. You have so many different styles in breaking now. It's not just what we saw back in the day. I think people are really going to be blown away by the moves that people do, the concepts, the way they connect with the music, just the styles that you will see on stage. You will see a good diversity, and I'm just really excited for the world to see the new story of breaking and not what it was and what inspired the world, but it's where it's gone now worldwide.
All right, well, we're going to look for this, Rox. Thanks for your
All
time
right,
to
that's
spend
what I
with
want to
us.
show. Boom. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm sorry, you guys got. I'm gonna put that video in the link right now in the chat. Y'all gotta check it out because there's been a great press roll that's been happening with the Olympics and stuff like that. But by far, and this is no disrespect to anyone that's done the press roll, that right there, that articulation from Rockstrite, who doesn't speak a lot, he gave he intrigued Chuck Nice and the two scientists. Oh wow, it's not from the
he
80s.
he kept them invested in
Yes.
when he spoke, how he articulated and everything. He acknowledged the variables of where it came from and all that stuff, but it's like, okay, you know what, if you guys are thinking it's just going to be a wave and a backspin and somebody doing something with a broom, and that's not a pun, no disrespect, because a lot of people can't get past that. People can't get past that outside of our culture.
Bro, they
That's
can't
what they
get
look at
past.
this as.
They still worship Michael Jackson for the Moonwalk and the Soul Train Awards back in
Yeah,
'82.
yeah. So here's
It's like, come
here's my
on.
take. Here's my take about that. That that video is very important. And here's the reason why I say it's important. This is what I was just saying about creating an ecosystem. We can't, yes, we need to start it, but when we finish it, we need to incorporate people outside the culture to come to see it. We can't, like if we want to fill up a coliseum for a competition outside of the Olympics, we need, what's been said before, we need people who are like, oh wow, look at this, look at that. Oh, let's go to that breaking event, just like they do in soccer or football or any other things. It's crazy. When I watch breaking events, and the first inning, my girl says is like, "Yo, is Rock's right in it?" Her favorite b boy is Rock's right, and she's a civilian. She don't know nothing about this, but
Right,
she likes Rock's right. I'm like, out of all the people she likes, is Rock's right. I'm like, that says something. You
right,
know what I mean? But
right.
how he articulated that's what we need. We need to build within us, and then we need to go out into the world and articulate and show intellectual content to what we do. Sitting here arguing with people who are not of the culture or negating the culture is a waste of your time. You're wasting
100.
your time, and you're making us look bad.
There you go. All right. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up? Because it's been almost 2 hours. It flew by because we're just on this. I've been on a rant, dude. This last month, I've been
Yo,
on
you were
some
going
rants.
off, bro.
I'm on some rant, stirring
and,
the
and
pot
we
like,
and we still haven't put a dent.
I'm like,
We still haven't
I'm
put a
like
dent.
stirring the pot. People are getting mad at me. I'm like, yo, but we haven't talked about this. We keep saying hip hop this, hip hop that,
Yeah,
hip.
it's
Yeah,
been
you
long overdue.
and it's like you guys don't care about the DJing part, and then the DJs don't care about the b-boy part, and the MCs don't care about the DJ part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, ugh. And then now we're starting to argue about race. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, all over the place. You know,
All over the
all over the
place.
place, and it goes back to like if you want to like really have clarity, arm yourself. Hip hop and specifically b-boy community and educate yourself on the variables of this stuff that's going on so none of these clowns outside our culture can tell you what it is and what it isn't, and these motherfuckers just showed up a year ago.
Right. There you go. Showed up a year ago and talking about who should be throwing what. Like, no, no. Okay, I'll just say this one thing to, FBA people that are watching. There's an event in Oakland called Make History. They've been doing it for 3 years. They want to do it in Oakland because why? Because the Black Panthers are originally there, from there, and they are involved. I don't see no one supporting that event. Give a shout out to Get Nasty. Give a shout out to Swerve. They throw the event. All black b-boys that throw it. All black judges, all black promoters, all black DJs, and they fly out all black. I've
That's
seen
dope.
no one
That's dope.
support them. Check them out on Instagram. They're called Make History. If you want to go support them, because no one was sending Jeffro no money. No one was sending Morris no money, and they were part of Breaking for Gold, and they need support too. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
there's
So
even a black b boy and b girls page on I wish I can remember it, on Instagram. I constantly send them information in history,
there you go. There
you
you go.
know. But
There you
I'm
go.
not out here to prove nothing to nobody that
Yep.
uses my information
Yep.
and
Oh,
twist it.
and you already know they clip us left and right.
Y'all taking my information, whether you know it or
Yeah,
not. But the
yeah,
ones who take
that's
it know
real.
it.
That's
They
real.
know it, but
That's real.
whatever, whatnot. But they ain't telling their audience that. So that's an interesting factor. So
That's funny because
anybody
yo,
who thinks that I should address them or whatever, whatnot, what are we going to debate about? Y'all using my information?
yikes. You know what I'm saying? And and I have them in my phone. Like I have these people's phone numbers. Like, get out of here. Don't talk that smack. I like how people just comment on it and everything. It's like, yo, I break bread with these. These are my uncles. They're my unks. So I'm gonna give respect. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So that's all I gotta say about that. Yo, man, this has been good because I mean, we barely even talked about hip hop versus breaking. We just talked about breaking, but it was good because it's a conversation that rarely no one has this conversation. Barely. Not, and if they do, it's not online. It's not documented, right?
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
these are like
There's that.
conversations
There's definitely that.
like at Denny's or some shit.
Some of the greatest conversations about the culture are not filmed.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And with OG guys, like, I got a picture with Don Campbell. I got to be in Japan with that fool and chop it up. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
And as the rest in peace, Don Campbell. And like those, you do your research. Don Campbell, please look him up. He's very important in the dance culture for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right. So is there anywhere else they can find you besides this one? Where is it? Right here. Yeah, Pluto. Yeah, you're up already. Anywhere else they can find you on social media? Right there. Homage.crew.
Where you know what? I don't see. I see like a condensed amount of in the chat and all that stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. At homage, yeah. Okay, over there in the corner. At
Yep.
homage crew, yeah, yeah. That's the platform that we do. We're working on taking over the world.
There you go. There you go. Good. Yo. Check out
Can
his.
I answer? Oh man, I just missed it. You know the Bronxdale.
Oh,
there was a
word.
Bronxdale
Okay,
question.
go for it, man. Yeah, go for it, bro.
Did it mean Bronxdale B boy? I'll just say this. I don't. There's certain things, like no one knows everything. I can't sit here and say yes, that's true. I can't sit here and say no, it's wrong. But what I will say is, from their area, that's their perspective. So I respect that perspective of that's what they say, whatever, whatnot. With a little research, maybe it is. We're doing a lot of things. But I always tell people, if you really want to know the answer to anything, if you can't find it from anyone, reach out to these people. A lot of times, these people are easy, to talk to or whatever, whatnot. So, yeah, man.
All right. In the call, just to show I'm not a hater. Here you go. Here's the make. If you guys want to follow, this is it. Boom. If you
Yeah,
guys want to
I'm not
follow Make
seeing
History,
everything.
if you guys want to follow Make History, I just put in the chat the link to Make History. Go support them. One of the dopest jams in Northern California, all Oakland, all black throne promoters, all black DJs, all black b-boys judging. And it's a shame that most of us Asians go and support it, which is crazy. That's crazy.
And that's
That's
the thing. You'd
crazy.
be surprised of who supports what
You know
before
what
you
I'm
lash
saying?
out and point
You know
fingers.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I just gave you the
Just
answer.
do a
Please
little
share that
research and
around.
see what people are
Please
doing,
share that.
because I've had Puerto Rican dudes say, I'm racist towards Puerto Ricans. That's funny
Okay.
enough. And
Yeah.
then I've had black dudes say, "Oh, you don't support black b-boys," and I'm like, "You obviously haven't seen my
Bruh.
42 years worth of research."
Yeah, it's gonna be like
42 years worth of research, but I don't acknowledge Puerto Rican b-boys and I don't acknowledge black b-boys. All y'all eat a dick.
like that. Like yo, I got Charlie Rock's number right here. I got Charlie
Yo,
Rock's
for real.
number. I got
I
Track's
I I
number.
talk
I got
to
Sasa's number. Get
I
the hell
talk to
out of
all
here.
these dudes, man.
Get
I
the
talk to
hell
all
out
of
of
these
here.
dudes.
I break
I
bread with
talk
these
all of these
guys.
dudes.
You know what I'm saying? So please support, make history. They're good fellas, man. Gideon, give a shout out to Gideon. Give a shout out to Swerve. They're doing the thing that needs to be done, and everyone talks shit.
Yeah.
Everyone talks shit, yet no one's supporting them. I don't see none of
Well,
y'all at the jam.
here's the thing. Here's the
I
thing.
don't see none of y'all at the jam.
I'll say this real quick. The
Mm,
people who do the least talk the most shit. You
100.
want to know? You want to know who's real about this shit in this hip hop? Everybody talks about is real. You want to know who's real in this hip hop? See who talks the most and does the amount to back it up, or does the least. That's how you know who's real and who's phony,
Yeah,
or
that's
who's
the
a
thing.
government agent.
I've been. Ooh, he said go. Let's not go. Hold on. But I'm just saying, everyone talking smack. I just gave you a link. Go support. If you want to cash app them, if you want to do whatever, you want to come down and just chill. You know what I'm saying? Come to Oakland. Black Resurgence, the dancers for Black Panthers. Did you know that? Do you know about
Hmm.
that?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know about that? So shut the hell up.
We do the
Shut the
research
hell
out here.
up. Shut the
We do
hell
the research out here.
up.
Like
Shut
we
the
we
hell
we can be
up.
respectful and cordial.
Yep. But they're like, but y'all don't know what you're talking about.
You
And then let
really
me
don't.
let me watch some Michael Wayne TV, and then let me watch like, yo, no, 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 no. How
I,
do
I
you break
you
bread and
know
shake
what?
hands and actually meet people? Get out of here.
I did an interview with him before the hip hop museum.
See what I'm saying?
And what was the hip hop museum in November? That video has never materialized.
Damn, like that. Yo,
Why
shout out
is
to
that?
Dancing Doug. Dancing Doug, man. When his documentary comes out, bro, I can't wait. I
It's
can't
gonna
wait.
shut a lot of people up.
I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait.
All those beautiful multicultural faces.
I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, if you want to get involved, get involved. That's all I'm saying. I don't care what you think. I don't care. I don't care what you believe, what the history is. If you want to get involved, get involved. Be here. Be here in the trenches with us. Help
Hmm.
support.
Go to jams, go to
Go to
events, talk to
jams. Go
people,
to
do
events.
your own history. If you don't like
Everything.
how anybody's doing something, do your own history.
There
I had a problem with, the history not being shown, so I did something about it. That's what you got to do. If you don't like how I'm doing it, cool. Do something about it.
and
But if
there's
you run up
probably
on me,
yep.
better be correct.
Yeah. And
41,
there's
42 years.
and here's the thing. There's probably a breaking community in whatever area in America right now. It might not be big, but there is some type of, at least in like at least 20 miles away from a major city. There's probably a breaking scene there. Go
Yeah,
support then,
and
if
there'll
that's the
be
case.
and this time next year it probably will level up.
Oh, I don't want to think about next year.
A
Like
lot
next
of
year is gonna be
people,
crazy.
who played other sports have been like, you know what? I want little Jeff, to be a breaker.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, people is working on it. People
Yeah.
are working on it. People are working on it. That's
There's a
as much
lot of
as I
things
can
in the
say.
background, and
That's
y'all gonna
as
see
much
it.
as I'm
You
gonna
have
say.
no idea.
You know what I
There's a
mean?
lot of
Know what I
things that we
mean?
are building.
Know what I mean? All
We're
right.
gonna take over the world.
All right.
Literally.
Before we sign out too, again, I'm gonna plug myself because I don't ask for. Notice I don't put my Venmo or Cash App on the screen, but I will put Supreme Geometry, Supreme Geometry gear right here. You could go right here to the Printify, and again, it's pinned to the comments, and you can check out. I have hoodies, shirts, beanies, and it's not just paying for a super chat or anything like that. You get to come home with something, and I'm rocking it right here. You know what I'm saying? So
Nice.
yeah, man. So gotta push the channel. You know what I mean? Got that. We're in America. There's such thing as capitalism. I just there's such thing
Hey,
as capitalism. So hey, I gotta do it, right? But
gotta do what
yo,
you gotta do.
yes, sir. This has been the trades with Pluto 7. Talk about breaking culture versus hip hop culture. We kind of did it, but we did it good enough. So that's been the show. Thanks for everyone. Please follow me at on Instagram at PROFO underscore FLGZ. All right, peace and see you guys